This morning I recorded the Minuet and Trio in G major of Mozart, and it's a very early one of his compositions. That is, he wrote it apparently when he was only 5. And what makes this compelling is unusual shifts of phrases and rhythms. The phrasing is very tricky. It looks very easy on paper, but really is not that easy to execute with a certain artistry. Now what you see right away is an upbeat to a downbeat. That's the first rhythmic figure, and you could say the first melodic figure as well, that you have to think about executing in a certain way. And very quickly into the measure 2, because that's an upbeat, the 2/8 notes. In measure 2, you have the same note that is preceded in the last measure, that is, there's 2 Ds. The second D you lean on because it's a downbeat, and then you have to resolve. So if you're a violinist, that would be much easier to do, because you could have an up bow like this, then draw a down bow, and then lift the weight off the bow and get kind of a diminuendo over that resolution. On the piano, we are far from the strings, so we have to have something comparable to realize that phrase in a subtle but artistic way. And so the upbeat is the challenge here. It's part of the motif. Delay, resolve. Answer, and this is a sequence. A sequence down a step. So you could see that I leaned on the D when I resolved it then to the C. In the next measure, which was, or measures, that was a sequence, I leaned on the C and went forward with my wrist for the B. The left hand is doing the same thing, basically. The rhythm is the same as above, except doesn't have the upbeat eighths, and it's like a cello part. So you want to do the same thing. You want to think, bum, 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 lean less. Answer, bum, 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 lean less. If you don't, you're going to sound like a typewriter going across those measures. So that's the artistic challenge here. Bum, 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 lean less. Bum, bum, lean less. Notice I come down with my wrist, enter the note a little slower, and then come up in the resolution. Now he takes that opening figure with the upbeat to the downbeat, and he has, it's like a cell. He takes that and he does it twice in short order. So you get da-da-dum, ba-da-dum, then expansion, da-da-da-da-da, and then enter the triplet, makes it very interesting, da-da-da-da, and then a trill in slow motion, da-da-da-da-da. And you can realize the trill, as they show it below in this edition, as 2 sets of triplets. So triplet, triplet, before you start going down. That's tricky. Okay, and that repeats. The left hand is doing the same thing, only it's spaced by, you're spaced by, let's see, a tenth. So that's easy to digest. Da-da-dum-bum, but you lean less. Da-da-dum, bum, bum, lean less. Da-da-dum, ba-da-dum, da-da-da-da-dum, da-da-dum. And what you have there is a modulation to the dominant key by way of the C sharp. Because remember, G major is 1 sharp, and now he, in the last 3 measures, or actually 4, introduces a C sharp and then continues to a cadence in D major. So you need to know, mapping out, this helps you learn, helps you memorize too. Now that's repeated. Now the motif of that upbeat to the downbeat continues, and part of that motif is going across a measure and leaning on a note and resolving it. So that has to go through your head all through this first section, and even in the rest of the piece I'm noticing, even though there are other figures that come up. Now this could be a little development section. Da, 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 so beautiful. Notice how I go under, forward. And now a little bit of expansion. Da, with new rhythms. Da, da, dum, da, 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 da. Here's that triplet again. Da, 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 dum, bum, bum. And I'm looking back at the triplet before, which was in steps, and this one's in skips to step, but it still evokes the variety of rhythms that you have in the very, very beginning on the first 2 lines. Now comes a new section, a trio section, and it's a bigger section. It's forte, it has more voices, and right away you can hear a trio, a string trio. You can hear perhaps a violin, a viola, and a cello. And so this is a very beautiful part. And again, he has the upbeat. So always hearing that 2/8 notes, going over the measure to the quarter. But he has some contrary motion here, as you can see. Here's that thing again, which you have all through the piece, that resolution. Lean less, downbeat, resolved. And now a sequence, that's the other part of this piece, this cleverness of the composer. And this is very hard to do. Now, this is something even more interesting, is 16th notes in both hands. It comes with a variety of rhythm, and they are intense. They are intense. And by the way, I believe we're back in G major here. We're back in G major. So the tenths are this, and I'm going to go slowly. Sequence again, down by step. Here goes the lean. Okay, now if I did that in tempo. Now it goes into another key. What's so beautiful about this section is, again, he takes the upbeat eighths to the downbeat quarter, but he's now soft and he's going into minor, which is totally stunning. But now, sequence in major. C major. So he needs to know that in order to artistically play it, the listener to understand that now we have for the first time the minor, and the sequence down in the major is very beautiful. Answer. Now he goes back to those 16ths that he had in the trio, intense. Let's see, yes, they are intense. Answer. It's so beautiful because it's an echo. Here it is again. And he does it again. Answer. It's soft here, but back to medium loud. So gorgeous. And then he comes back to the beginning, very kind of nobly. But